Stop scrolling for 1 second. Because if this video found you right now, it's not random. It's not an accident. You were meant to see this at this exact moment. And before you think that's just another line, hear me out. Everything you've been through, every pain, every heartbreak, every failure that broke you, every moment you wanted to give up, it brought you here for a reason. Because there's something inside you that refuses to quit. Something inside you that knows you're made for more, even when the world tries to convince you otherwise. If you've ever asked yourself, why am I here? Why does life feel so heavy? Why can't I just break through? Then this is it. This is your answer. But I need you to do one thing for me. Don't click away. Don't skip. Because what I'm about to tell you is something only 1% of people ever discover in time. And you've made it here. That means you passed the first test, the quantum test. And if you stay with me until the end, you will not look at life the same way again. Ever. So take a breath, because your breakthrough starts now. The quantum test you just passed. If you're hearing these words right now, you need to understand something crucial. You didn't just land on this video by accident. You were drawn here. Your choices, your curiosity, your energy aligned with this moment. Out of billions of videos, your attention locked onto this one. Why? Because you're ready. Whether you believe it or not, the very act of being here means you've already passed a test. The test that 99% of people fail every day. The test of awareness. Most people live on autopilot. They scroll endlessly, consume mindlessly, and react unconsciously. But you paused, you clicked, and you're still here. That tells me something powerful about you. You're searching for truth. And that alone, that's the first step toward freedom. Let's talk about this quantum test. Why do I call it that? Because everything in this universe operates on a field of infinite possibilities. At the quantum level, particles don't exist as solid things until they're observed. They exist as potentials, floating in a soup of probability, waiting for a decision, a focus, to collapse them into form. What does that have to do with you? Everything. Because your life works the same way. Every day, you're surrounded by infinite possibilities. Wealth, love, success, health, purpose. And yet, most people collapse the same old realities over and over because they never change their observation. They never wake up from the unconscious loop of yesterday. But you did. You stepped out of the noise, clicked on this moment, and chose to listen. That means something inside you is waking up. You're no longer willing to live as a victim of chance. You're ready to take back your power. Here's the truth. The universe has been whispering to you for a long time. Through signs, through struggles, through moments that broke you and moments that gave you hope. But whispers don't wake the sleeping. Life had to shake you a little. That heartbreak, that setback, that failure you thought was the end, it wasn't the end. It was the initiation. Because this is not just another motivational video. This is a call to arms for your soul. You passed the test because you didn't give up. You passed because even after life hit you, something in you said, there has to be more. There has to be a reason. And there is. From this point forward, everything changes. Because when you truly understand the observer effect, not as some abstract theory, but as a living truth in your daily life, you'll see the secret the 1% know. Your focus is your superpower. Your attention is not passive. It's creative. It's the brush painting the canvas of your reality. But before you can wield that power, you have to see what's really happening behind the curtain of your own mind. You need to understand how your brain is quietly shaping your life without you even realizing it. That's where we're going next. Your brain's hidden reality creation process. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why life often feels like it's on repeat? Why you keep running into the same problems, the same challenges, the same patterns, like you're trapped in a loop? It's not bad luck. It's not fate punishing you. It's your brain. And it's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Keep you alive, not make you extraordinary. Your brain is a prediction machine. Every second, it's scanning your environment, comparing it to the past, and trying to predict what's next so you can survive. That's its main job. Survival, not success. But here's the problem. Survival mode and creation mode are two completely different operating systems. Survival says, stay safe, avoid risk, stick with what you know, even if what you know is misery. Creation mode says, imagine something better, believe it before you see it. Act on possibility, not fear. If you've been living in survival for too long, your brain isn't creating your future, it's recycling your past. It wakes up every day, looks at your old memories, your old emotional states, and says, let's predict more of this today. So if yesterday you felt stressed, your brain says, great, here's more stress. If yesterday you felt broke, it says, perfect, let's keep that pattern alive. Not because it hates you, but because it thinks sameness equals safety. Here's the kicker. Your thoughts are not just thoughts. They're firing patterns in your brain. And every time you repeat a thought, you reinforce that neural pathway, making it easier for your brain to go there again tomorrow. Thoughts become habits. Habits become identity. Identity becomes destiny. So when people say, I'll believe it when I see it, they've got it backwards. Your brain works like this. You'll see it when you believe it, and keep believing it long enough for your biology to accept it as truth. But there's more. Your brain is also connected to your body through emotion. Every thought triggers a chemical response. Dopamine for pleasure, cortisol for stress. If you've been living in stress for years, your body is literally addicted to that chemistry. It craves worry, fear, and doubt the way an addict craves a drug. So when you try to imagine a better life, your body screams. This doesn't feel familiar. Go back to suffering. That's what we know. This is why change feels so hard. You're not just fighting thoughts, you're breaking emotional addiction. But here's the good news. You can rewire all of it. And it starts with awareness. The moment you become aware of your thoughts, you step into the role of observer. You separate yourself from the loop. You stop being the program and start becoming the programmer. Science calls this neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to change itself. Every time you choose a new thought, every time you feel gratitude instead of fear, every time you visualize instead of worry, you're carving a new path in your brain. Do it enough times, and your old identity dies. Do it long enough, and a new reality is born. And here's the truth. Your brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. If you vividly rehearse a future in your mind and feel it in your body, your brain wires it as if it's already happened. That means you can teach your brain to believe in a reality you haven't seen yet. And when that belief becomes your default state, your outer world has no choice but to catch up. But there's a catch, and it's what keeps most people stuck. Time. They wait. They hesitate. They say, I'll start tomorrow. I'll change when I'm ready. I'll go after my dream when the timing is perfect. But here's the truth. Time won't wait for you. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Why time won't wait for you. Time. It's the one thing you can never get back. And yet, most people act as if they have an endless supply of it. They wait. They delay. They say, I'll start tomorrow, next week, next year. But here's the brutal truth. Time doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't pause when you procrastinate. It doesn't slow down when you're afraid. Time moves relentlessly, whether you're ready or not. Think about this for a second. 5 years ago, you had dreams, goals, ideas that lit your soul on fire. Where are they now? Did you chase them? Or are they still sitting in the someday folder of your life? And if they're still there, let me ask you, how many more years are you willing to give away to fear, to doubt, to the illusion of perfect timing? Because perfect timing? It's a lie. There is no right moment to start. There is only now. Here's why waiting is so dangerous. When you wait, you strengthen the habit of waiting. You teach your brain that hesitation is safer than action. And every time you hesitate, you build a stronger identity of someone who doesn't move forward. And that identity, it becomes your cage. Let's get scientific for a moment. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, RES, a filter that decides what you notice and what you ignore. The longer you wait to act on a dream, the more your RES stops filtering in opportunities. Why? Because it thinks you're not serious. You've trained it to focus on safety, not growth. So when an opportunity comes, you don't even see it. Not because it wasn't there, but because your delay blinded you to it. Now, here's the kicker. The universe works the same way. Energy responds to action. The moment you move, even a little, the field begins to reorganize around your intention. Doors you couldn't see before start to open. People you need start appearing. Resources flow. But when you wait, nothing moves because the energy is waiting on you. Let me tell you something you need to hear. You're running out of tomorrows. Every dream you delay is a dream you risk losing forever. And one day, you're going to wake up and realize you traded years of your life for the illusion of not yet. Don't let that day come. I know what you're thinking, but I need to prepare first. I need to be ready. That's what we all tell ourselves. But that idea, that's the next trap. The preparation paradox. And if you don't understand it, it will keep you stuck for life. The preparation paradox that stops success. Let me ask you something. How many times have you told yourself this? I'll start when I'm ready. I just need to prepare a little more. Once I have everything figured out, then I'll take action. Sound familiar? Of course it does. Because this is the most seductive lie we tell ourselves. The idea that we need to feel ready before we start. Here's the truth you don't want to hear. You will never feel ready. Not for the things that matter. Not for the dreams that scare you. Because readiness is not a feeling. It's a choice. This is the preparation paradox. We think preparation creates confidence. But in reality, action creates confidence. Preparation without execution is just procrastination dressed in productivity's clothing. Yes, preparation feels safe. It gives us the illusion of progress. But if you've been getting ready for months or years, you're not preparing. You're hiding. And here's the worst part. The longer you prepare without acting, the harder it gets to start. Why? Because your brain wires that delay as a habit. You're teaching yourself that action comes later, and later becomes never. Let me tell you a secret that successful people know. They start before they're ready. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every dream realized started with someone taking a step into uncertainty. Do you think Elon Musk had a perfect plan before SpaceX launched? Do you think Steve Jobs had everything figured out when he built the first Apple computer? No. They moved and then they learned. They didn't wait for clarity. They created it through action. Here's why this matters so much. When you act, even in small ways, you activate something inside you called momentum. And momentum is magic. It builds energy, confidence, and clarity faster than any amount of overthinking ever will. The path to your dream doesn't show up when you're standing still. It reveals itself as you walk. Every step forward lights up the next step. But if you never move, you'll never see the path. So the question is, how do you break free from the preparation paradox? How do you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start building your future now? It starts with silencing the voice that whispers, "You're not ready. You're not enough. What if you fail?" That voice is not truth. That voice is a liar. Your internal critic's deceptive voice. That voice in your head, you know the one that says, "You're not ready. You're not good enough. What if you fail and everyone laughs? Why even try? People like you never make it." That voice feels like truth because it speaks in your own tone, your own language. But let me tell you something that will change everything. That voice is not you. It's the echo of fear. It's the programming of a past you didn't choose. It's every criticism you've ever heard, every rejection you've ever felt, every limiting belief you've absorbed, recycled and replayed until it sounds like reality. Here's what you need to understand. Your internal critic is not trying to destroy you. It's trying to protect you. Protect you from embarrassment, from pain, from the unknown. Because your brain is wired for safety, not success. And safety means staying the same, even if staying the same is killing you inside. But here's the paradox. The critic thinks it's keeping you safe by keeping you small. But what it's really doing, it's killing your dreams slowly, one excuse at a time. Let me give you the truth that sets you free. You don't have to fight that voice. Fighting it gives it power. You have to observe it. See it for what it is, an outdated survival mechanism, a protective filter that served you once but no longer serves the life you want now. When a voice says, "Don't do it, you'll fail," you respond, "Thank you for trying to keep me safe. But this isn't danger. This is growth." And then you act anyway. Because here's the thing. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence is the result of action. Every time you move in spite of fear, you weaken that voice. You retrain your brain to associate action with safety instead of threat. But how do you act when fear is screaming at you? How do you stop overthinking and just move? You need a tool. A simple, practical, no excuses tool that short-circuits hesitation and forces your brain into action before fear takes over. And guess what? That tool exists. It's called the 5-second rule, and it's so powerful, it can change your life in the next 24 hours. The 5-second rule for breakthroughs. We've all been there. You know what you need to do. You know the call you need to make, the workout you need to start, the idea you need to launch. But what happens? You hesitate, and in that tiny gap between decision and action, fear slips in, doubt sneaks in. The critic starts whispering, "Not now, not today, tomorrow will be better." And just like that, the moment is gone. Here's the truth. Your life doesn't change in years. It changes in moments, in tiny windows of time where you have a choice, act or delay. And the longer you delay, the more your brain sabotages you. Science calls this the hesitation window. When you hesitate for more than 5 seconds, your brain shifts from the decision-making part of your mind to the fear-based part. And once fear takes over, game over. So how do you beat hesitation before it beats you? You use the 5-second rule. This is how it works. The moment you feel the impulse to act on something you know you need to do, you start counting backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Why does this work? Because counting backward interrupts the fear loop. It forces your brain to engage the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision and action, instead of the limbic system that runs on fear and comfort. And when you hit GO, you move. No thinking, no second-guessing. You stand up. You make the call. You hit record. You take the first step. It sounds simple because it is. But simple is powerful. Every great change starts with a small decision acted on immediately. You don't need more motivation. You don't need the perfect plan. You need a countdown and courage in a 5-second window. Imagine if you started using this rule every day. You'd stop snoozing your alarm and start your morning strong. You'd finally send that email, make that pitch, take that chance. You'd stop living in someday and start living in now. You don't have to believe in yourself to use this rule. You just have to believe in the countdown, because the countdown will get you moving, and movement changes everything. Now, let's go deeper. Even when you start taking action, it's easy to forget this truth. Everything you're searching for, the strength, the confidence, the clarity, it's not out there. It's in you. It has always been in you. Everything you need already exists within. If I could tell you just one thing that could free you from years of doubt, fear, and hesitation, it would be this. You already have everything you need to change your life. Not after you read another book. Not after you get another degree. Not after you move to another city or meet the perfect person. Now, right here, within you. You were born complete. You were born with the wiring for greatness. But along the way, life buried it under layers of fear, doubt, and limitation. People told you who you were supposed to be. The world conditioned you to think small, play safe, stay in line. And little by little, you forgot. You forgot the truth you knew as a child, that you are limitless, that your imagination can create worlds, that your dreams are not random. They're signals from the life that wants to be lived through you. Here's what you need to understand. You don't need permission to step into your power. You don't need validation from anyone else. You don't need the world to agree with you before you move. You need one thing, to remember who you are. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are a force of creation in human form. And the very fact that you're still here, breathing, watching this, means the story is not over. Everything you've been searching for outside, the confidence, the clarity, the courage, it's inside you, waiting for you to wake it up. And the way you wake it up is by acting like the version of you who already has what you want. When you start showing up as that person, your reality shifts to match. Because the world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. The day you stop saying, "I'll start when I'm ready," and start saying, I am ready because I'm alive is the day everything changes. And let me tell you something else. The fears you have, the doubts that paralyze you, they're not signs you're weak. They're signs you're close. Fear shows up the loudest right before the breakthrough. Because fear is the gatekeeper to your next level. You don't defeat fear by waiting for it to disappear. You defeat fear by walking through it with shaking hands and a steady heart. But there's one last piece we need to put in place. You have to decide what kind of life you're going to live. A fear-based life, where you play small and stay safe. Or a purpose-driven life, where you rise every day to something bigger than your excuses. Fear-based versus purpose-driven living, and your extraordinary future starts now. You've come this far. You've stayed with me through every word. And that tells me something powerful about you. You're ready. But now comes the question that defines everything. What kind of life are you going to live from this moment forward? Because whether you realize it or not, there are only two choices. Not 10, not 100, just two. You can live a fear-based life, where every decision is made to avoid pain, failure, and rejection. Where your dreams stay trapped in the cage of what if. Or you can live a purpose-driven life, where every decision is guided by vision, meaning, and a fire that says, I'm here for something bigger. Let's break this down. Fear-based living looks like this. You hesitate because you don't want to make mistakes. You hide because you're afraid of what people will think. You settle for good enough because you don't believe you deserve more. It feels safe, but it's not safe. It's a slow death. It's living the same day over and over and calling it a life. Purpose-driven living looks like this. You move even when you're scared. You speak even when your voice shakes. You choose growth over comfort because you know comfort is the enemy of greatness. It's not easy, but it's alive. It's vibrant. If where the magic happens. Here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Fear will never leave you. You'll never wake up one day and feel 100% ready. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's action in spite of fear. And that means the life you dream of is not waiting for more preparation. It's waiting for one thing, a decision. So here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, decide that you will not waste another day of this precious life living small. Decide that the voice of purpose will be louder than the voice of fear. Decide that you will take the next step, even if it's tiny, today, because the bridge to your extraordinary future isn't built by thinking. It's built by action. One step, then another, then another. Look at me. You're not broken. You're not too late. You are not your mistakes. You are a miracle, standing in the middle of infinite possibility. And the very fact that you are hearing this means something profound. Life is not done with you. Your story is not over. In fact, it's just beginning. From this moment forward, every choice you make will either align you with fear or align you with purpose. So which one will you choose? Because your extraordinary future isn't waiting out there. It's waiting in here, inside you, ready to come alive the moment you decide. The moment is now, not tomorrow, not someday, now.